Hello, eager learners, and welcome to week 5. Today we are going to be talking about our calendar as well as the kind of resources that are available for you in the modules tab. So if you want to click along on your computer or just watch the video, this week we are starting work on our technical description paper. This is a fun paper because it asks us to write and think in a way that we may not be totally familiar with. Lots of the writing in this technical communications class is very different than the traditional kind of essay structure you're probably more familiar with. In your high school writing, in English 101, you're asked to write essays in a fairly traditional structure with introductory paragraphs, body paragraphs with research supporting your ideas, and then a conclusion that wraps it all up. It's told in a more narrative tone, and normally follows an MLA citation format. What you're going to be doing in a technical description paper is very different. And so I want to make sure that we've got all the resources we need to be successful, because you're going to be reading today in your excellent textbook about writing descriptions, how to use that descriptive language in a more professional context than maybe we're familiar with. And then you're going to be working on writing your technical paper all of this week as it is due on Sunday. If you open up your technical descriptions assignment, this is another one of your major assignments here. We have got some great work here for you. So for the assignment, you're going to want to go to the website that I've created to go along with this, along with my colleague, the excellent Professor Bob Peterson. We work together on these website creations. This particular assignment asks you to create a technical description. We're looking for about 3 to 4 pages showing us how something works. You're going to want a formal definition. You've worked with those 3-part formal definitions in past assignments, so you're already pros at that. We need at least one parenthetical definition somewhere in the paper. That's where you're elaborating on an idea within parentheses. So if you were talking about making excellent chocolate chip cookies, and you needed to further define what a convection oven was within the body of the text, you would be talking about putting those cookies in the convection oven. Right after convection oven, you would, in parentheses, explain to your reader what a convection oven was, very briefly. And so that's a parenthetical definition. We need at least 3 figures that reinforce your description. So those can be charts, they can be graphs, they can be pictures that you've taken, they can be pictures that you found online. However, if you are not taking the picture yourself, do make sure that you are citing it and formatting it in APA style. That means it needs to have a figure number. There should be figure 1, figure 2, and figure 3. Makes sense. As well as a note that describes what's taking place in the image, and then an APA formatted citation of that image in that note, as well as on the references page. So that's important when you're using your figures. If you did not take the picture, that's how you need to format it. If you took the picture, you still have to use the figure numbers 1, 2, and 3, and you still have to write a note that says what's happening in the image. You just don't have to include a citation for it. And we've got lots of resources for APA documentation and citation, so do take a look at that. And I do actually have a couple samples for you. The easiest one to look at, just from where we're at in our screen here, is the shaker screen example. This walks you through how to do this kind of technical writing. So shake your screen is the title. You don't have to come up with something creative, just tell us what you're going to be describing. Our general description has that 3-part definition, as well as some more detail that tells us what separates the shaker screen from other things in a similar category. Then we go ahead and break it down, looking at each of the elements present. So we might look at the screen box. We've got an image here because I didn't rely on someone else to make this. I made this image. I don't have to cite it, right? So I've got my figure note, and then I'm describing what's taking place in the image. We want to be as technical as possible, so I've included nice notes here in terms of dimensions. If you're describing something that needs that kind of specificity, please provide it for your reader. I've also included more images here to help you kind of discover what this shaker screen looks like if you're not familiar. And then I decided to put something a little bit more fun at the end, showing it being used. Because I did not take this picture, I do need to include that citation for it here, and I do need to include references from where I got that image. So do make sure that you're formatting in APA style and that your technical description document is coming together in a similar fashion to this one. Now on this website, you can just ignore the required peer review portions here. The website company is not allowing me to edit this right now. So ignore this. We will be having peer reviews in our discussion boards. So don't worry about that little blurby there. We're just going to be doing it in the discussion boards. We've got a lesson, some models on technical description, as well as a template for you. And I'd highly suggest using this template to get you started. So if you download that template, you just put your own information in here and get started, right? So you would have your name, the instructor, the date. We start with our general description, 3-part definition, purpose of the thing, principles of operation, list of major components, etc. And then we give our images. This one I did not take, and so it is cited as well as described. And then we're breaking it down into its smaller parts and functions. So we talk about the piston, perhaps. We get some subheaders where we're describing how everything operates. And then we're going to continue in this format. We do also want to make sure that we're including a references page. I've included some sample references for you here to help guide you if you're working with a source from the internet, perhaps one that doesn't have an author or a date, a book, those kind of things. Here are your guidelines for how to cite those. All that excellent information is here for you in your instructions here. So do make sure to carefully read through the instructions, read through Markle's chapter on writing descriptions, and then take a look at the rubric to see how this is going to be scored. I'm looking for how well you responded to the assignment, for your clarity and focus, your development and information, your use of headings and organization, your use of visual illustrations, grammar, and then punctuation. So do make sure that as you create your document, you are aligning it with our grading rubric there. As always, there are also resources available for you in the modules tab. Lots of resources and documenting in APA style. So if you're having a challenge coming up with citations, whether for your images or in your references page, here's a lot of great resources for you. We also have our technical description paper stuff linked for you here, a couple PowerPoints to walk you through it, a really fun sample about a baseball cap that I enjoy very much, and then some elements of design if you're wondering what images might be most effective to incorporate, as well as a note on graphics, what kind of images are good, which ones maybe not so much. And then if you like to brainstorm in different ways, we have this great bubble map generator that kind of helps you brainstorm your ideas, organize them, structure them, figure out what makes logical sense before we begin writing the technical description document. So lots of really excellent things here, as well as a recorded lecture that walks you step by step through the process. So do make sure to check those out. This week you will be working on that technical description document. It is due on Sunday, and it is worth a bunch of points. So get started on it. If you have any questions, reach out. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. You are going to want to have that description document written by Thursday, though. So just like we talked about at the beginning of class, 2 things psychological, educational researchers say separate successful students from unsuccessful ones. It's not IQ. It's not how many English classes you've taken in the past. It's the ability to network, to make connections, and the ability to plan your time wisely and use it well. So to help us plan our time wisely and use it well, pace yourself, pick the thing you want to describe today after reading the book, get started on your descriptive elements, and then you're going to turn in a draft to our discussion board on Thursday. Now this discussion board is going to give you an opportunity to get some feedback from your classmates, because this is our first kind of major assignment. We've had some major assignments before, but this is the densest one. And so I want to make sure that we get a good look at it to make sure it's making sense, it's logically organized, all that good stuff. So I want you to upload your draft to this discussion board on Thursday. Once you post your draft, you are going to respond to the classmate who posts directly below you. And you're going to use this peer response form. Now, when we think in terms of peer review, sometimes we feel uncomfortable giving constructive criticism, we just like to make a little smiley face and say, hey, you did it, good job, so proud. But that's not an effective way to help our partners, to help our peers. So we want to be brutal, be honest, get this thing done.